Every month.
Oh, once a month?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, hello, this is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Allman. I'd like to thank Erica Bradley of North Shore TV for the use of her studio facilities here in Lake Success, and Mike Peters for all the professional expert advice he gives us, and for his daughter. Mike just had a baby girl.
Oh, congrats.
Congratulations.
Okay. The show is broadcast on public access television. I'd like to say hello to our viewers in both Nassau and Suffolk County. And I'd like to thank our co-host, Sabrina Lacey. She's the former commander of the Suffolk County VFW and the current chaplain. Hello, Sabrina.
Thank you, Ed.
I'd like to thank our crew. We have a little tight crew today. We have on camera 3, Mike Ferraro, and he's on the timing machine. And our other cameraman is Eric Spinner, who's also our co-host sometimes, and our assistant producer. Our producer is me, and our director is Robert Lane, who never gets enough credit for the work that he does. Did I say that right? Robert, did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, if any of the members of the crew would like to host the show, you can do it. You just have to get a guest. Just keep that in mind. Okay, by the way, if you'd like to ask me a question, please go on the email at mardiv1@optimum.net. You have that up on the front of our flags all throughout the show. Our guest today is Larry Mansfield. Larry is a Counselor 3 at the Veterans Service Agency of Nassau County. Larry has a lot to tell the viewers today about the PACT Act and the expansion of the Agent Orange presumptive conditions, and about the Agent Orange problem with the water down at Camp Lejeune. We'd like to talk to our guest in a few minutes, but first let us remember some of the veterans who died recently. Al Krauser died at 96 years young. He was an Army veteran of World War II and a longtime track coach at Uniondale High School. Arthur Seidman died at 105. Wow. A Great Neck resident, he served as a forward observer for the Army Field Artillery in the Pacific Theater during World War II. Frank Yanelli of Rockville Center served in the U.S. Army and the National Guard. He used his GI Bill to graduate from Fordham Law School. Walter Wathy of Woodbury died at 88 years old. He earned 2 Purple Hearts at the Normandy invasion. Carlton Kelch of Dix Hills was 96 when he was drafted into the Army for World War II, and he helped with the liberation of Dachau. Joseph Maschio of East Meadow lived till he was 99, a proud Army veteran. Another Army veteran was Bernard McNulty of East Meadow. And Stephen Bathy of Sound Beach was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. Giacomo Basili could build or repair anything. He was a World War II veteran. Robert Zilnick of Wantor was a proud Air Force veteran, and Michael Shamroy was with the USS Forrestal. He was a Navy veteran. George Antonio was a proud Army veteran from Roslyn Heights. And lastly, this just happened yesterday, Jim Stasio died. Jim was a great member of the Marine Corps League, and he was a past president of the 1st Marine Division Association. He was a good friend. My condolences go out to Josephine. Okay, that's the end of Veterans News. Now it's time for our guest. Larry, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to be here.
Larry, do you met Sabrina?
Yes, I met Sabrina earlier.
We have a lot to talk about today. In fact, there's 3 things that are very specific and very important. But first, tell me something about yourself so our viewers can get to know you.
I've been a Veterans Service Officer for 14 years. And my previous background was in finance. I was a banker for over 30 years. I had my own financial services practice for the last 20 some odd years, and I've been with the Nassau County Veteran Service Agency for 11 years. I served in the United States Navy Reserve from 67 to 76, active duty 69 to 71. I was a radio intercept operator. I was a communication technician. We intercepted all types of radio signals, foreign and domestic. I served in Okinawa for my entire tour after A school out of Pensacola, Florida.
Well, what was your rank when you got out?
I was a petty officer 3rd class.
What is a petty officer 3rd class?
It's an NCO.
Like a sergeant?
Yeah, it's an NCO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Did you get married while you were in the service?
No, afterwards.
Okay.
Afterwards, when I got out and I went to school.
Are you still married now?
Yes.
How long have you been married?
43 years.
Oh, wow. That's a marvelous thing.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
43. I'm 51 now. 43, you spent some free time after you got out of the service?
Yes. A few years.
A few years.
Yeah, a few years.
Okay.
And what is her name?
Sandra.
Sandra, thank you for your service to our veterans.
Very good. Very good. Okay. I know we're getting right to the point, but we have a lot to cover. We're going to talk about the PACT Act.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the
Camp Lejeune.
Camp Lejeune and
The expanded diseases and areas for exposure to Agent Orange,
right.
Which is important.
Right.
Primarily, it's always held to Vietnam, but now it's been expanded, and we'll go into that.
Okay. Can we start with the PACT Act?
Okay.
What is the PACT Act?
The PACT Act is an acronym. The official bill passed by Congress, it was called the Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson Honoring Our Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxic Act of 2022, which I guess made the acronym the PACT Act. So that was basically to recognize different areas and different conditions as a result of all types of toxic chemicals, not only Agent Orange, but Camp Lejeune contaminated water, and some new conditions. So those conditions were expanded, areas were expanded, as far as territories and countries that you may have served in. So it's kind of a comprehensive expansion of VA benefits made available to our veterans.
This is a big thing. This involves a lot of veterans.
It certainly does. It involves the Gulf area. It involves still Vietnam, parts of Korea, and the other areas that have been added for Agent Orange is significant. We have Laos, you have Thailand, you have Guam, you have the Philippines. I think I'm missing one. But, so those areas before, if you had an Agent Orange presumptive condition, you were exempted for a successful claim because you didn't serve in the country or boots on the ground in Vietnam. So now that has been expanded along with the new conditions, the big one being hypothyroidism, hypertension. And
do the viewers know what hypertension is?
High blood pressure.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So previously it would have to be linked to another primary condition and would be diagnosed as a secondary. Now it's a primary presumptive. If you served in Vietnam, then and you have hypertension, we would file a claim for you.
Did they have to be indicated while they were serving or on duty that they had the hypertension, or could it be secondary to now
No.
it plumbed up?
The boots on the ground, that's all they had to prove that they were there.
Okay.
Okay, they didn't have to be secondary to another condition,
Yes.
which was what it was before this. It is now presumptive, just like ischemic heart disease or diabetes. It's a standalone presumptive condition.
That's a new good thing
Yeah,
now.
so that's a big one.
Yes.
Almost everybody I know has got hypertension.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So if you were in Vietnam or any of the new places now,
You could be compensated. You'd be
get
compensated for. I have some.
there's another condition besides the hypertension.
Yeah, the other one for Vietnam veterans. This is the acronym is MGUS, which is monoclonal gammopathy
Okay.
of an undetermined significant. I have no idea what that is, and I've never had anybody come in and say they had that. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it's been added, and that's a new one to us.
Okay.
Let me just bring this to the viewers' attention. If you've been a Veteran Service Officer for 11 years, right, and this one that you do not know, would you tell the viewers that they need to go and bring their information to someone besides a lawyer or somebody, right, one of the service officers, so they can point them in the right direction with their journey?
Well, your first call should be the Veteran Service Agency. There is no charge for our service. And the lawyers are going to charge you for any type of consultation. That would be the last stop. And the way claims are handled now, if you're turned down, we don't go immediately to an appeal. We have different lanes of presenting the claim in a much shorter time period. So it's always best to start with a phone call to the Veteran Service Office. In my case, in East Meadow, in Nassau County.
Let me just add to that. Also, in your neighborhood, there's American Legions or VFW that's in the area. Each one of those posts have a service officer in the post that can refer you where you need to go if you just want to find out if you qualify, because you don't want to go jumping and you're not sure if you meet the requirements, all right? So you have to get in contact and join those organizations, and then you can find out this information. You're an American Legion too,
Yes.
right? And you're also a VFW?
VFW and NABSCO, which is National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, is another organization that we belong to. I'm trying to think if we're with DAV. We don't process much through DAV, mostly the American. Oh, we also we work with the New York State Division of Veterans, and that's one of our accreditations as well. So we submit directly to the state as well as the other service organizations like the American Legion and VFW.
Okay.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to point out with the PACT Act, the veterans have, I just got a call today. He said the VA wouldn't let me join the VA healthcare system. I said, why? He said, they said I didn't meet a means test, which is a financial eligibility. And much as the Vietnam veterans served in country of Vietnam, they don't need to substantiate a means test. They're automatically eligible to join the VA healthcare system, which we encourage all veterans to do so. So if you've served in the Middle East, in Gulf War era, you have eligibility to join the VA healthcare system, which he did. They turned him down. They didn't ask the right questions. So he called us, we gave him the right information, and now he can get into the VA healthcare system, which is very important.
And that means test indicates that you need to bring all your financial statements in?
No, this is a simple application. That, you know, they want to know what your income is. For the older veterans, it's Social Security and a pension. But again, it depends.
Is it verbally?
No, it's a written application, but they don't have to provide proof.
Okay, so
they
it's
just
verbally.
They just have to state it, and they'll investigate it and find out if you're eligible. But if you serve in a combat area, you're automatically eligible to join the VA healthcare system. Even if you're not going to use it, if you're still young enough and you're still working and you have coverage, job interruption can happen, and now you still have coverage because you're in the VA healthcare system. So you don't have to use the VA, but it's another way for them to count the census of how many veterans we have, because we lose some of them by not registering with the VA healthcare system.
Okay.
What else?
Ed, are you a member of the healthcare system?
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Are you a member of the healthcare system? Right? we all need to join and become part of it. There's a lot of resources there at the VA for everyone now. New stuff now that's coming through that we need to work on.
Larry, what are the conditions that are involved with the PACT Act? What kind of conditions do you have to have?
Well, you have to have as always with any claim, you have to have a presumptive of a disease or illness that's recognized. Some do's and don'ts with the PACT Act in relation to what we'd like to see. We want them to avoid any scams, obviously. The main thing is to apply with the VA government, or with the VA service officer at a VA service area. Be cautious of companies that advertise they can only be obtained with, your claim can only be obtained with their help. They may not be recognized of a VA, and they may attempt to charge illegal fees. Be cautious of aggressive companies who try to pressure you to sign a contract through frequent communications. Be cautious of companies that claim that contacting you on behalf of the VA to have a special relationship with the VA. That's not so. Validate if you are interested in working with a veteran service organization or an attorney. Use the Office of General Counsel to find out who an accredited officer is.
And that's why you said, Larry, instead of going directly to the internet, because the internet now is being inundated, to come into the service offices or go to one of the VFWs or the American Legion's area so they could direct you.
You want to use an accredited service officer. That means it's approved by the Office of General Counsel, and they're listed in there. You can obtain, get the counselor's name. You can check it yourself to make sure they're accredited. All our counselors are accredited. They happen to be all veterans as well. So this is more in line with the Camp Lejeune issue. If you have a legitimate service connection claim, why would you go and join the class action suit? One of the key things is even if the class action is successful many years down the road, if you're service connected now and could be collecting a benefit, why don't you do that? If you have an Agent Orange issue or a contaminated water disease, then you should file the claim now. Because if you join the class action suit and down the road you win an award, you're going to lose the VA benefit you've been collecting, and you would have to pay it back. So the award that you may get, you'd have to weigh if it was more beneficial to you to take the award, and that would have to do with your age. I mean, if you're 65, maybe you would stay with the claim because your life expectancy is longer. If you are 85 and they're going to offer you, I don't know, similar to the Atomic Radiation Act, they were awarded $75,000. But I've had veterans who were service-connected for other issues. They lost their VA benefit because they had to pay back the $75,000 before the benefit would start. Now, these gentlemen are in their 70s, late 70s and 80s, so they're never going to pay that back. So, but in this case, the $75,000 was probably worth it. It may not be with the new Camp Lejeune class action suit. So be cautious about doing that. And don't let them bring you into the class action suit and then start charging you fees as well. So if you have a legitimate claim, call the service agency, make an appointment. It'll be a phone appointment initially, and we'll take you through what you need to do, what you need, evidence you need to gather. We'll present it to the VA. We don't work for the VA. We work for you guys. We work and gals. Right. We work for the veteran. All right. Our job is to bang heads with the VA and represent you. We don't work for the VA. I mean, in my case, I work for Nassau County, and that's our mission, is to help the veteran.
Now, the PACT Act involves burn pits right. that were used in the Middle East.
Correct.
What are the diseases, the conditions that you can suffer from to make the PACT Act something that you have to call about?
So this is one of the expansions that the PACT Act has afforded, besides Agent Orange, which we've known about for quite some time. For Gulf War and post 9/11 veterans, this includes brain cancer, respiratory or breathing-related cancer of any type.
Do this a little bit slow.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'd really like this to sink in.
Okay.
Because this is what, if you have, you should get to the Veterans Counselor.
Correct.
Yes.
And do it right away.
Even if you're not being seen by, currently being seen by a VA doctor, your private doctor's, his input is extremely helpful. Obviously, we need a diagnosis, but some of the situation, as I said, was brain cancer, breathing-related cancers of any type, which would be lung cancer, gastrointestinal cancer of any type, head cancer of any type, lymphoma of any type, lymphatic cancer of any type, neck cancers, pancreatic cancer, reproductive cancer of any type, kidney cancer, melanoma, asthma, that was diagnosed after service, chronic rhinitis or sinusitis, constrictive bronchitis, emphysema, lung disease, pulmonary fibrosis, sarcoidosis, chronic bronchitis. This is all attributed, this is the expansion of the Gulf War, 9/11 exposure to burn pits and things of that nature. A lot of...
Larry,
yes, ma'am.
Does prostate cancer fall into the reproductive portion?
No.
No, okay.
Prostate cancer is still Agent Orange and Camp Lejeune, contaminated water. Let's see, what other one? High blood pressure is a new one. Hypothyroidism is a new one. Bladder cancer is a new one. So there's a different list for each area besides Vietnam. So it's best to call. We'll go through the list with you and your condition. If, again, these are presumptives. You don't have to prove that you have that, other than a diagnosis. If you had boots on the ground in those service areas, you're going to be considered for an approval.
Do anything have to be indicated in their medical chart from the past that they had some kind of issue?
Other than the presumptives, if you have a physical injury like a knee injury or a spinal injury or any joint injury, yes, you need to establish service connection, which means you need to have your medical record. So the guys that are still out there and you're still serving, or if you are a recent separated serviceman, you need to get a hold of your medical records, because if you were treated for a broken arm, a knee, an elbow, or any type of back injury, we need to establish that you were treated in service. If you can't wait 55 years later and say, well, I fell, but I didn't do anything, and now my back's bothering me. Yeah, well, now you're 75. Of course, it's going to hurt just from natural aging. So if you have an incident in service, make sure you document it. We need to prove service connection. Then we need current diagnosis, and we need continuum of care. So that means shortly getting out of service, I continued to struggle with this illness or this disease or this condition, but I was receiving treatment. If you don't have that and you show up 50 years later saying I have a problem, it's not likely for a successful approval of that claim.
That's what I want to ask you. If the presumptive condition is presumptive, if you get it 50 years from now,
then it's presumptive.
It's presumptive,
right.
It's okay.
Because it took that many, just like Agent Orange, it took that many years for the condition to evolve into severe diabetes, so or prostate cancer.
I would almost tell everyone that's listening that if you're a veteran who had some experience with the Middle East between 1990, 1989 to 2020,
correct,
and you develop any kind of disease in your old age, you should talk to a veterans counselor to find out if that condition is a presumed condition that you can be covered for.
I'm finding out that a lot of young ones are coming up with diabetes. They're having a lot of problems with the diabetes, and it's really bad. I mean, the diabetes is like taking over everything. So
that depends upon where the younger guys. I'm not sure that diabetes is in the new list, but if they were diagnosed with something that's not on the presumptive list, but it was diagnosed and treated in service, then that's where they need to get continual care and file a claim. All right, because we were treated in service. So they're not depending on the presumption at that point. But if it's a presumptive condition, no matter when it shows up, the cancer shows up many, many, many years later.
I also read that boots on the ground is not exactly true. that if you were also in the Air Force and you flew over one of these countries,
That's true.
you're considered boots on the ground as far as the effects of the diseases.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
And one of the things going forward, I know you probably could touch on this. I know that when I served in the military, we had the gas chamber, and we all went through the gas chamber. And then depending on what era that you went in, because I was there in 1985, they used a different chemical during that time. I just want to reach out to those young ones that are like 60 or younger. Those things that you have to bring to your mindset, and go and join the VFW and American Legions. I'm going to pinpoint that again. That's where you're going to get all your information from, and it's simplistic because it's near your area where you live. That's what we're here for. Am I right, Ed?
Yeah, sort of.
Why?
I was thinking about that. If you're a veteran that wants to find out something, you might go to your American Legion, and you might find a bunch of guys that are there having a good time, and they don't know anything about.
Well, Ed, let me tell you something. There's nobody in these posts having a good time now because we don't have members. So we all looking for members, and we're going to receive you well. That's why I'm speaking on this now, okay? And I'm going out to the American Legions and the VFW and tell them, stop it. Receive these veterans because they're hurting, and they need to get to the service officers like Larry to get the information that they need, to get the benefits that they need to take care of their families. And as they journey back out there and fight for our country, we need to be able to say, when you come home, we're going to have more service officers like Larry that care, and more American Legions and VFWs that care, and we're going to receive you well. So you're going to come down. Larry?
The American Legion, VFW, other service organizations, many of the posts have what they call a post-service officer. They don't have the training that we have. We have to have continuing education on a regular basis to stay up with this. This is a brand new, so we're still learning on the fly with the PACT Act. But if there is a post-service officer, that post-service officer will direct you to us. He's not going to, he or she is not going to do your claim, but they should know where the resource, such as ourselves, to take care of your situation. So seek out a post-service officer. If that's all you know and you have a friendly relationship within your post, seek out that post-service officer. He's not accredited, he's a volunteer, and he should be hooking up with us to direct you to the right place.
Exactly.
I just wanted to talk about a little bit the burn pit registry, similar to the Agent Orange registry with run out of Northport. There's a burn pit registry too, that you may not be suffering from anything at the present time, but again, they're collecting data on veterans who served in these toxic areas. Again, some guys don't want to claim anything, they're too proud. That's not the point. The registry is to gather information so they can perform statistical analysis as, is there a rise in the veteran population that exposed to these types of items. So there is a burn pit registry out of Northport, and if you served in Southwest Asia, Egypt, Afghanistan, Djibouti, Syria, or Uzbekistan, you should join the burn pit registry.
What are those countries again?
Southwest Asia, Egypt, Afghanistan, the Djibouti, Syria, or Uzbekistan. So that's after August 2nd, 1990, and up to 2001, September 11th.
Right.
Participate in the registry with collecting data.
I also want to say that Suffolk County also has the same thing that you do. Tom Ronayne does a great job.
Yes, he does.
Getting people involved with the Veteran Service Agency.
And that's at the Dennison Building on Vets Highway in Suffolk County.
Right. Can I get some of the crew up here today? Eric, Mike, come on up here. Thank you very much, Larry. It was very informative.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
More than welcome.
Sabrina, Mike, Eric, this is our crew. Without them, we wouldn't have any show. Thank you very much. Also in the back, we have Bob Lane, and who else is there?
Your wife.
Jean Shure is there. My wife is there. Brino.
Who's the new guy? With the red
new
shirt
guy?
on. With the red shirt on. Yeah, the young guy.
Oh, the young guy, yeah.
on out here, Nick.